everybody. Hi. How many of you went and looked for time matrix? Anybody? Okay, good. Tirtha and Karan. Did you understand? Which is also very important. So, in fact, one of the reasons why I even told you to go and have a look is because it is very practical. It is, in fact, easy to actually apply. I mean, I use time matrix, for a lot of my work. My focus is going to be on recovery for you. How can you do what you can do, from a recovery point of view? And like how Joanne has put there, yes, stress can be a motivator, but then remember, uh, it's the adequate amount of stress. If we didn't go through stress which just before exam, we wouldn't care about the exam. If we didn't go through that little bit amount of stress while studying, we would have never put our hard efforts and work, to prepare, for that particular subject. So again, in a lot of my stress management programs, I talk about good stress, bad stress, but I want to keep that aside. I want you to understand this. What we give to our body is what we get from our body. Give it the necessary recovery, and your body will respond with that particular recovery. That's one of the reasons why, even though I told you that time management is in many ways also stress management, manage your time effectively, create a routine for yourself, do certain things on a regular basis every single day. Like, for example, what I told you, I wake up, I in fact have systems. A lot of times I combine 2, 3 activities and I put them across in that fashion. If I'm going to the restroom, that means I'm taking, that's what we do, right? We freshen up, we take shower, I mean, we brush, I include the floss along with it, take a shower, put a little bit of oil when I get out, because I don't want my scalp to be very, very dry. So all of those activities which are morning routine are taken care. When I go to gym, I make it a point that I finish my workout, I do a little bit of walking, and then I come back. There's a high protein breakfast attached to it, and then I like to have my probiotic after that. So I'm putting everything into system. In my habit list also, I make it a point that if I'm praying, I'm sitting and reading my religious book as well. So these are systems, these are activities that are attached, to how you want to spend, your entire day. So these are routines that you can keep for yourself. But along with those routines, make sure that you understand the power. The reason why our timetables don't work is because we are not real about our breaks. We are not we are not factoring that we are human beings, that we need time for recovery as well. That's why that 15-minute break is important. How you utilize that 15 minutes break, I'll leave that to you. You want to do to just sit and relax. You want to sit, listen to music. You want to sit and do some deep breathing. The choice is yours. I have for a very long time used music as my recovery tool. I told you about the playlist that I have when it comes to reading. But I also told you that I have a playlist when it comes to mental well-being, which is my Turkish Mediterranean, playlist. I love listening back. I still remember one of the most beautiful places that I've ever visited, has to be Nepal. It's Himalayas have a different beauty, which is somehow, truly mesmerizing in many ways. And it is there that I found this one chant that actually made me really, really fall in love. Aisha, I am going to come to your, uh, uh, you know, question, rather comment, and we'll talk about that as well. And see, again, when I say this is, in fact, a suggestion that I had for one of the companies, where I was telling them about why every single day, 10 minutes of closing your eyes and deep breathing is very important. They were telling me that their company, deals with stocks, especially during the trading time when their stress levels are really high. They can't even, skip a single second, from the screen. Where are 10 minutes? I said, fine. Can you give 20 seconds? They said, yeah, probably we can. Okay, can you give 10 seconds? They said, yeah, 10 seconds we can. Then I said, fine, that's enough. Just close your eyes for 10 seconds, deep breathe, and breathe out. Even if it is just 3 deep breaths, it's okay. That's why I know how difficult it is for kids. Actually, I know how difficult it is for both the kids as well as the teachers. Because remember, while it is for you to sit and listen, for them is to stand. And I know how there are days where I've had a full day training program, which is 8 hours, 6 hours, and my feet are almost done, with me, to the extent that I have to come, put Epsom salt on a tub, put my leg on warm water with Epsom salt and just relax and hope that the pain goes away. Yeah, some of your teachers might not complain, but they are going through. But remember one thing, they are also bound by time. You're also bound by time, because everything is bound by the syllabus, because it has a timetable, has a calendar that needs to be executed. If they don't complete the portion, ultimately, you bear the brunt for it. That's one of the reasons why, even if you get that 5 minutes between a class, that's vital. But one of the things that we have to understand is that a break has to be a proper break. You Because that recovery has to be proper recovery. You can't be sitting and again stimulating your mind with worries or with mobile phones. Luckily they're not allowed, I think, in your office spaces, rather schools, which in many ways is good. If not, that itself is a huge distraction. That's why I said, no, that in order for that recovery to be good, breathing is essential aspect of de-stressing ourselves. Trust me, you're young. um, for me, I think 4 years back or 5 years back, um, is when I hopped onto meditation. um, Before that, if somebody would have asked me, I would have laughed at them, saying that, look at me, how hyper I am, I'm always jumping from here and there. Me, meditation, are you mad? But then, that is one habit that I wish I had inculcated long, long time back. In fact, one of my most recommended app, okay, even though this is, I think, there only for the iOS. Earlier, this was in fact there for Android as well, but I don't know, for some reason they in fact stopped. If you notice, in my list of apps, wait, let me see if there's the other window. Okay, I can't see myself, so that's where my skepticism is. There's an app which is called Pause, Pause, on my phone. And in fact, one of my most favorite activities in this is, there is a option which is called flow timer there. Okay. I use this actually while reading as well. I use this while meditating as well. Only thing is, the track just changes, because for free, if you download this app, Pause, on your Android, sorry, iOS devices, if you have, then all you have to do is just set a timer, and then notice it is just rain sounds, nothing else. And I have the habit of sleeping to the rain sound because it's extremely comforting. um, I just, have the habit of giving Alexa in my room instruction to just play rain sound, and put a timer for 20 minutes, and it just goes on and on. This is my track for focus. And I'm not showing you the other one, which is for meditation, because that is part of the paid app, which obviously I don't want you to spend right now that particular money, because the other reflective aspect, which is part of the paid app, is just mind blowing. It's so soothing that sometimes I feel, damn it, why did I not do this? And also, it is the app that also made me learn this. But I learned one thing, that we are terrible breathers. We don't know how to breathe, even though it is the most biological activity in the entire world. Look at the animal kingdom. Animals that have slow breathing, deep breathing, live longer. Elephant. Animals that have shallow breathing, fast breathing, sometimes dogs, live shorter. Any animal that has anxiety and, pace, speed in their breathing has shorter lifespan. Same way for us also. We want to expand our life, then breathe slowly. You want to shorten your life, then breathe faster, because this is one thing that I learned. We have limited amount of breaths. They already decided how many breaths we have for our entire lifetime. You either can breathe slowly and live longer, or breathe faster and live shorter. That's why breathe like a baby. You know how babies breathe? Slowly, and they breathe from their belly. You can literally see that belly go up and down, up and out. That's why deep breathing matters. And if you want to learn deep breathing, you can in fact go to Netflix. Okay. There's a show on Netflix, which is again from an app that I have used for many years. It's called Headspace. It's an app which is again available in Android as well as in iOS. Again, remember, don't pressurize your parents to spend money on something that you yourself are not sure whether you are going to use it or not. There is a freemium version of this. Use the freemium, no problem. But don't push your parents, for money. Okay. And the app that I told you, which is my favorite, is this. It's Pause. Also, with respect to our lifestyles in general, uh, there's a scary trend of how youngsters these days are experiencing a lot of medical conditions, especially with respect to heart. That's where the most important advice that you can give to yourself is to not be sitting for a long time. I know when you're studying also, there are times where you have to sit, but take those breaks by taking a walk. And walk, um, um, I used to love cycling, is an activity of focus, because when I'm walking, I'm focusing. I'm thinking about if I have a training program tomorrow, what should I talk? How will the flow be? What are the aspects that I need to remember? Um, Same thing. When you study and when you walk, you are recalling. Okay, what did I study? How was it? So there are two advantages. Not only it gives you breather to relieve your stress by walking, because walking is one of the most healthiest exercises you can possibly indulge in. But at the same time, it gives you the advantage of, uh, you know, sitting and recalling, rather standing and recalling in motion. I ended with this, which is, about sleep, because remember, insufficient sleep can lead to more anxiety, more depression. That's one of the reasons why people who sleep little are always irritable, they're snappy, they keep getting angry with others. Your immune system becomes extremely weak. People who sleep less tend to gain, more weight. Lack of sleep again can increase your, cortisol levels. It can impact your cognitive functions. Just your ability to study is going to get hampered if you don't sleep enough. That's why get yourself that sleep. Sometimes I remind people this, that I want you to think about your life as a race car. While everybody wants to go fast, no doubt about it, everybody wants to hit that top gear, go fast. But then even the best drivers of the Formula One have to do a pit stop. That pit stop is important. That is recovery. Because in the entire process of this whole trend of FOMO that you have, remember, if you are going to have that FOMO, which is fear of missing out, then it should not lead to what I call as COBO, which is certainty of burning out. And it's very easy these days, to experience that particular burnout. And whatever you do, give yourself this understanding that in our mind, multiple chemicals from our gut, okay, are moving across the body and also are interacting with our brain. Think about it. When you have cold, when you have headache, when you have stomach ache, leg ache, when you have fever, why is it that we eat a medicine? Because it's going into our stomachs, and from there it's going through multiple parts of our body, through those hormones, through those chemicals. So that's why you have to understand this, that if you give your brain and your body the wrong chemical, which is a hormone, which is a stress hormone called cortisol, then obviously breathlessness is going to happen, heart rate is going to happen, anxiety is going to happen. But if you, I ended our last class by talking about this. If you are going to give yourself the right balance, I'm looking at, Vishwa. Again, it doesn't matter whether it is, the Lewis Hamilton's or the, during my time, I remember how I used to sit and watch Formula One, and the legend was Michael Schumacher. Um, Literally, I've watched so many races of his. These days I don't even watch T20 properly, forget sitting and watching a Formula One. I barely get to, follow up on scores about Barcelona or Real Madrid, or even Manchester City. I don't get time at all for any of those things. Or rather, I don't want time for all of those things, because I would rather sit and do something else or do nothing, instead of overstimulating myself all the time. Talking about the hormones that I was telling you, remember, this is a powerhouse, and we need to give that powerhouse, also enough reasons to be happy. And that's where I tell people this, that in a world which is obsessed with a lot of chemical, oh yeah, you can brag now. Obviously, you guys have time. You are school students. You have time. Come to my age. Then we'll definitely talk about how much you can manage to all of those things. Uh, so give yourself the right dose. Again, dose is an acronym. So what I tell people is that every one of us needs to give ourselves the right dose of happiness on a regular basis, where some of the hormones in this particular acronym, which is DOSE, I'm sure you probably might be aware of. Specifically, of course, the book that I was telling you in the last class as well, which is Dopamine Nation, that's where the D stands for, which is dopamine, right? In your context, you can get dopamine in two ways. You can get dopamine by sitting on Instagram and going on and on and on and on and on dopamine, or you can, create a good schedule, a reasonable schedule, create realistic goals. Okay, put like how games have no one junction, one junction, one junction. Gamify your entire education, and then when you've completed one junction, you celebrate and say, "Yay! Time to treat myself." A sip of water, a small piece of chocolate, a dance. So those are rewards for you. So that's why when what is dopamine? Dopamine is a reward. It's a reward hormone. When you achieve something, when you accomplish something, our body produces dopamine. That's one of the reasons why, when you set those goals, when you set that schedule, and when you put rewards for achieving those things, then anticipation of that particular reward itself can release dopamine in your body. Because remember, more than traveling, it's the anticipation of traveling that makes us more and more and more happy. And just that anticipation of the reward, because you're going to reward yourself, um, that dopamine is going to motivate you to study. So that's why dopamine is necessary. Of course, you can get dopamine from food as well. A lot of times, of course, just put a chicken piece there on a burger, but then there are healthier meals that you can also have for yourself, which can release that entire dopamine. One activity that releases literally all of these, or actually all of these, I'll keep that activity for last. Although I've spoken about that particular activity some time back. O, again, stands for oxytocin. Oxytocin is called the bond hormone. It's called the love hormone. Again, a lot of studies have spoken about this, about why we, as social human beings that we are, it's in our DNA, to crave for oxytocin. Think about it. When you do studies in groups, when you study with friends, when you comfort a friend who is probably going through some amount of anxiety, some amount of worry, when you spend some good time interacting with others, all of this is going to release oxytocin. And that's why when you create a collaborative learning environment, when you have respect for each other's abilities, and you celebrate those accomplishments of yours, then your body is going to have plenty of oxytocin, and that again is going to make you feel less isolated with respect to your anxiety, more in the gang, and feel more courage that together your friends are in this to go conquer their exams that are due. Why is again serotonin important? Because this is one hormone that helps you with respect to reducing your anxiety levels. Naturally, when you have higher self-esteem, when you feel confident about yourself, you will produce serotonin. Another activity that produces serotonin, and that's what the reason why it's such an important activity, is meditation. Because remember, it's a calmer. That's why you can meditate, you can engage in positive self-talk, you can look at celebrating your growth mindset in such a way that it makes you feel good, it makes you feel calm. That's how you produce serotonin. And last, which is also the E here, especially in the dose, is endorphin. Remember, I told you one activity that produces all of these hormones, and especially one activity that produces endorphins for sure, is this. It is exercise, any kind of exercise. Why is endorphin important to you? Because endorphin is natural morphine, meaning endorphin is a pain reliever. When our body produces endorphin, it is fighting cortisol, it is fighting all of those chemicals, all of those hormones that our body is producing, which are not good for us. Okay, yeah. So anonymous says that it is getting recorded, so which is good. You should tell me your name, by the way, at the end, because the last thing I want to do is I want to remember you as, when one of my training programs where I was meeting so many people from Middle East, I had this participant who was anonymous. So you can give me your name, or probably ping me on Instagram and tell me that you were the anonymous. When I say exercise, I'm not asking you to go buy a gym subscription or go hit and suddenly start pump weights. No, it can be as simple as look at what an HIIT is: high intensity interval training. You don't need equipments for it. You just need a timer, and need to know what you need to do. A walk can again help with respect to producing endorphins. A good stretch. That's why yoga again is such an important thing, because exercise is called magic drug. Because if anybody could produce the effect that exercise has, it would be called literally a magic pill. And that's the reason why it's important. You need these hormones, obviously, for many reasons, because these neurotransmitters, that's what they are. The hormones obviously help you with respect to improving your mood, reducing your stress, and ultimately, you know, um, helping you improve, enhance your focus, which is obviously the most essential aspect of your exam preparation. So if you want, go get curious about this as well. There's so many things that these hormones do. The impact of dopamine, how to utilize dopamine effectively, in your education, why it is so important. So if you have pets, just cuddling that pet can also produce both. The pet also will have oxytocin, and you also are going to have oxytocin in your entire body. How, just by um, yourself, motivating yourself, by meditating, by focusing, your body can produce serotonin. So these are simple things that you can do to yourself, gifts that you can give to yourself, that honestly don't even require an expensive subscription of any kind. It's daily activities that you do can produce these effects, which ultimately have great returns, of course, for yourself. Our brain, no, when we experience anxiety, what is our brain doing? First of all, what is anxiety? In our brain, wherever there are missing areas, the gray areas or the incomplete parts of the stories, our brain tends to start filling it. And many a times, these fillers are exaggerated in our mind. I'll give you a simple example. And then I'll give you the term that Stoicism uses, because it's a little complicated term. Let's say, you and I, are friends. Okay. You call me once and I don't pick up. Um, what's your thought? You might say, okay, probably busy. And then you try again. I don't pick up. And then you're like, oh, is he ignoring me? And then you call again. And then I'm definitely not picking up. That means, okay, he's angry, I think. Did I do anything wrong? What have I done? How did I disappoint? What you're doing is you're filling in the gaps. Your brain is filling in. And you know what you're doing in your mind? You're creating a catastrophe which is not there. And imagine 2 days later, 3 days later, you meet me and I say, oh, I had left the phone at home. And by the time I reached back home, it was too late. That's why I did not call. And then your brain is like, stupid. Simply you sat and built the entire thing. So two things which are part of stoicism itself. One is decatastrophization. You want to control your thoughts. See the event for what it is. Don't build anything ahead of it. Don't try to stitch anything backwards. You wrote the exam. You were not able to solve five answers. That is the situation. Period. Oh, I didn't write. What if that is the most important thing? What if because of that you're building again, you're catastrophizing again. That's why decatastrophize. And again, this, I don't want to give you anything which is more sophisticated. I don't want to give you pieces that you are not going to be able to chew. In stoicism, even though today it's a very big practice in psychology, it is called cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. Our feelings influence our thoughts influence our feelings influence our behavior influences our thoughts. So it's all intertwined. It's all intertwined. So feelings, thoughts, and behaviors are all interconnected. So whenever you're going through a negative spiral, ask this question to yourself. Wait 1 minute. Where's the problem here? Is the problem here with what should I, immediately start flipping? Is it my feelings? Is it my thoughts? Is it my behavior? Because somewhere there is a root cause there. By getting in and flipping the switch, you'll be able to change. By changing your feeling, if you're feeling low, if you're feeling down, obviously your thoughts are going to be low, thoughts are going to be down. And because of that, your behavior is going to be low, your behavior is going to be down. So that's the reason why it's important for us to control all the three. And for that, it starts with acknowledging that while studying there are too many distractions. Is it good news or bad news? From where I see, it's good news, because you understand that there are distractions, which means you can identify what the distractions are, and one by one remove those distractions from the entire scene. The experiment that I told you about boredom and electric shock, do the same thing. You don't need to give yourself electric shock. You need to give yourself the right material, the subjects, the books, the tools, right, to facilitate education, facilitate studying, and remove those distractions away from the entire room. Go to a different room altogether. That's one of the reasons why your study room should not be like an entertainment room, and your entertainment room should not have elements of studying, because then your brain gets confused. What is this? I mean, am I supposed to study here, or am I supposed to entertain myself, or relax here? That's why if you have only one, obviously, you might not have multiple rooms, a palace, but for that also, in your room, have corners. One corner should mean something, the other corner should mean something. It should not be confusing to your mind. A good book on psychology, oh God, there are so many, but one book which is literally my numero uno, the book that changed my life. You need a lot of patience to read it, because there are a lot of difficult names in this, because it's about Rome. It's a book which is called How to Think Like a Roman Emperor. So it's about the life of my one true hero amongst the many other heroes that I have, whose name is Marcus Aurelius. He was called Philosopher King. That book literally changed my entire life. That's where I learned CBT. That's where I learned decatastrophization. That's where I learned a lot of foundations and fundamentals about life, how to live it, and how to simplify it. So yeah, how to think like a Roman emperor. Oh my God. Tirtha, when it comes to history, you know how our brain remembers things? Um, our, our brain remembers things through stories. And one of the reasons why history is the easiest, I am fascinated with history only for that simple reason, is because it's story, and stories stick. See history as stories. And in that story, put the important dates and put the important events. If you see history as documentary, you're not going to like it. If you see history like a story, then it changes perspective. And obviously, there is a little bit of mugging up that also need to do in terms of what is the date, what is the date, what is the date, what is the date, what is the date. But notice, when I was talking to you about the experiment yesterday as well, which is in the 2014, I also speak about another experiment which was in 1957. I remember these days because I remember it as a story. Long time back in the year so and so, there was a battle between the Akbar and Maharana Pratap. What happened? This happened. So that's how you need to remember history, as stories. If you have interest in two careers, what is the one thing that I keep walking and keep telling people? That today we live in a time where you can always have a full-time job and a part-time gig. You can have two part-time gigs. You can have two careers, three careers, four careers, or you can have one career and two career acts. So, there's this one girl who I used to teach in MBA, who was doing MBA because she wanted to finish her education, save some money, and then use that money, go to US, do a fashion designing course. And then when I asked her, why you, when you made up your mind that you have to become a fashion designer, why are you wasting time in doing other things? She's like, no, my parents will not agree. Have you spoken to your parents? No, I know my parents. I said, of course you know your parents. You should know your parents. But have you spoken to your parents? She said, no, they will not understand. I said, how do you know? Can you tell me what is going to happen in my life tomorrow at 5 p.m.? Life is full of surprises. So you never know. Tomorrow, you might have a business which is a fashion line. You never know. You might fall out of love with fashion and you might be doing something else altogether. You're young. For now, if you have two interests, good news. You either decide to pursue two or decide to pursue one or marry both and make it one. I leave the choice to you. Ask this question to yourself. You want to become a pilot? Why? I have a game which I play with myself. It is 5 whys. Okay. Pilot, why? Whatever is the answer, 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 why? And then whatever information you have, collect some courage, go sit in front of your parents, and trust me, a lot of what you need to explain to your parents is going to come in those 5 whys. But you have to be honest with yourself to ask those 5 whys and not have one word answers, because you obviously can't go sit in front of your parents with one word answers. Karan, what you seek is seeking you. A friend of mine was going through some real difficult times, and he kept coming and telling me that, I'm forgetting. I said, of course, if you tell your brain that you're forgetting, your brain says, Jo hukum mere aaka. Your wish is my command. If you say that I'm forgetting, then you are forgetting. Ask this question instead: what can I do to make sure that I remember? Then you will find solutions, not validations to the problems that you have. And I know it sounds very shrewd when I say it, but unfortunately, that's the way, Karan. You'll have to, ask those tough questions to yourself, as to how can I become better? What do I do to improvise on my memory? And there is going to be some amount of forgetting that we all do. That's the reason why the whole idea of, I have read some of the books 10 times. Why? Because I know I'm going to forget. A guy who's sitting, rather a man, who's sitting in front of you and telling you how to, study properly, is also confessing that I forget. I'm human. I'm not a superhuman. I'm not a supercomputer. I also forget. So that much amount of forgetting we all do. So you have to battle that forgetting curve by doing things that will, make you remember. Reading, the most important habit anybody, forget teenager, forget anybody. Reading, one habit single-handedly that can change your entire life and your entire future has to be reading. Read. You will be grateful to yourself for starting it. Read. Yeah, because Hannah, the reason why we go blank is because we've crammed. We've created a traffic jam in our head so massive that even the best of the car, from the Lamborghinis to the Bugattis, to the Ferraris, are stuck in the traffic jam. Why will they move when they've created a traffic jam for yourself? That's why declutter. That's why you have 1 month, you have 2 months, how much of a time you have. Space out your learning so that when you walk in, your brain is confident enough, because it's all about confidence. It's all about familiarity. I've always believed in this. Familiarity breeds comfort. If you're familiar with your content, if you're familiar with your subject, then you're comfortable with your subject and you'll go sit comfortably. You might forget a few things, but those are consequential. But in totality, you will still be calm and you'll say, this one will take care. One question at a time. One question at a time. And it's so much more easier for me to say this because when I was your age also, I went through that anxiety of looking at the question paper and then begging to God and saying, please, I studied. I know I studied. Please help me. Um, Again, if you want entrepreneurship advice, I think this is where Jain literally gave me that entrepreneurial seed. I am an entrepreneur who was an accidental entrepreneur. It's all because of Jain. I've seen how Jain celebrates entrepreneurship literally. So you'll find a lot of people there who can help you with respect to entrepreneurship. Vishwa, I like how you've mentioned the word there, kinda, which is a disclaimer. Get short-tempered as well as irritated by certain things. Again, no, temper, irritation is a reaction. When you witness something that is going, either in a tangent or away from or in the opposite direction of what your expectations are, you get angry, you get irritated, and you start shouting. That's why ask this: how real are your expectations? Does the world work according to how you think, or the world you have to accommodate your thinking according to the entire world? I remember, if I have to give you a very simple example, just some time back, I think somebody from Alcor, if you guys are here, sent me a picture for, I think the picture was from the school press. It was such a serious photo of mine. It was like an aggressive, I'm going to go fight kind of a situation. And I laughed to myself saying that I went there, I made people laugh, and here the picture lies. But it reminded me of something that I used to do. Walking into so many classes, so many number of times, I had made the standards or expectations that I have from the students so high that the reality was here, my expectations were here, and I was going and losing in big time. I was getting angry with people. I was getting angry with students saying that you're fit for nothing. What is wrong with you? Then one day I sat and I asked this question: wait, what is happening? How did the agent of laughter suddenly become the trader of anger? And then I asked myself this question, and the answer was that I wasn't, in check with the reality. I was just building a fortress of expectations. So what I did is I lowered the expectations to match the reality. In fact, I went below that. That's why when I have a audience who is notorious, who is reckless, even then I can handle. I can handle with a smile. Off days, if I do lose it, that's because I'm human. Anger is a natural expression. Everybody gets angry, but you should know when you are and how much you are getting angry. I've spoken again about focus. Remove your distractions. In fact, Carl Carl Newport, the book is called Hyperfocus. Okay. Again, the author's name is difficult for you to remember, but the author's name is Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. The book is Focus. The book is Flow. FLOW. Flow Mihai. That is Mehale. Mihaly. Ideally, you would pronounce it as Mihaly, but it's Mihai. Csikszentmihalyi. Okay. Go Google that book and see how you can improve your focus. Again, the fashion designing and the business. I again spoke about this. You can marry both. There's a program that I do which is called Get a Life, Not Just a Living, where I speak to people about this, that you need to celebrate your life by celebrating your work. And the only way you can do that is by doing what you love doing. Okay, I don't know whether the questions are getting repeated here. I think the questions are getting repeated. Aisha, again, if you're starting off, start with something very simple. It can be a love story for all you know. I'm a very objective reader. That's one of the reasons why, in fact, the current book also that I'm reading is a reread. In fact, I'm doing this reading for you guys as well. The book is called Path to Purpose. It is about how people like me, your educators, that is teachers, your parents, can be instrumental in helping youngsters like you, a lot more younger people than you, understand the power of purpose, why a meaningful life is more important, and how you can get there. So yeah, that is again one of the books. If not, I will always have either spiritual read, either from as simple as Quran to Torah to I was in fact a few days back reading some portions of Torah, just to reacquaint myself. I read Quran every single day. I sometimes read extracts from Bhagavad Gita, because I'm not a theologian, but at the same time, I'm curious about other religions, only to figure out that when everybody somewhere or the other is speaking about be good, do good, why are we fighting in the name of God? So yeah, that's the thing. Um, Rehan, I am not a fiction reader, but am I against fiction? No, I'm not against fiction. I have seen my wife thoroughly enjoy a lot of books which are fiction. Earlier, I used to be very judgmental, but I remember there was a face-off video also that we uploaded on YouTube, quite a long time back, where I was batting for non-fiction and she was talking about fiction, and I think she hands down won the entire argument that we were having, the debate more than argument that we were having. I tried reading. I think Alchemist was the book that I read, and I just didn't like it. Even though people rave about that book, I think for me, I like more direct. I like more direct books. um, a conversation starters about to start a conversation you need multiple things. People think that starting a conversation is the most difficult thing. No, it's maintaining the conversation. One of the tips that my guru has, which is my first guru, his name is Dale Carnegie. In the book How to Win Friends and Influence People, he says that if you want to keep a conversation interesting, speak on a topic that others are interested in, not what you are interested in. So what do? I ask questions. So how are you? What did you do? How are things like? What are your usual hobbies? And then I get cues from there and build the entire conversation from that. So I always speak on the interests of others, um, mm, and then find common grounds, which is the best way to hold the conversation. Aisha, How to Win Influence and Influence People. Um, Easily one of my most favorite book. Second, Think and Grow Rich. Third, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. I told you these three books were number 1, 2, 3 in the list for the longest period of time until 3 years back. That's where How to Think Like Roman Emperor went straight sat up. But I don't recommend the book immediately to others because of its sophistication, especially when it comes to reading. So you can start with any of those three. If you want to start with fiction, pick anybody. Yeah. If Chetan Bhagat is the easiest, if J.K. Rowling is the easiest, whoever you feel you pick. Um, we all can, um, you know, if IQ is going to decide where we are, then I don't know where I would have been. That's where you want to beat that that prison of this is my IQ, this is the score. She has a better IQ, he has a better IQ. No, develop a growth mindset. Fixed mindset is a binary. I can learn or I cannot learn. I am good or I am bad. I'm intelligent or I'm not intelligent. That's fixed mindset. You know what growth mindset is? If I put my time and effort, I can learn. If I fail, no problem. I'll learn from that failure. Try again. That's where the growth mindset is. It is not a binary. Growth mindset is about efforts. If I put the efforts, I'll get the necessary outcomes. In fact, the movie that I told you, The Gifted Hands, go watch that movie. This weekend, make it time to sit with, okay, I wouldn't say with parents, because I don't know what is going to happen after the conversation, what conversation you're going to have with your parents, but just sit and watch. And if you like it, then tell your parents that I watched this movie, it was so nice, so that they also can watch it as a family. There is a reason why you're in school and you will go to college. For you to pick a career, now it's too early. You should be looking at what are you interested in. When you close your eyes, what kind of life do you like? What kind of work do you want to do? What makes you happy? What excites you? What are your strengths? What are you good at? And then go to what subject closely represents to what you want to do. It's impossible that you don't have any interest. It's just that you have not sat and listed down the things that you're interested in. I read at least 5 verses, 10 verses of Quran every single day, no matter what happens, because that is end. I end my day like that, and then I go to other books. But I have to, do my basics in Arabic class, and then read a few verses of Quran, and then I read something else, Aisha. So the fact that you said you read that, start with that, and then shift to another book after that. Thank you, Karan. I know that's one of the reasons why I was also worried. So many questions are coming. And I should also, of course, be, really grateful that 30 of you are still, listening to me. Remember, this is not a podcast. This is a session that was supposed to end, 20 odd minutes back. So thank you to all of you who came. If you just go and type how to win friends, Google will complete that to you. Another book by Dale Carnegie, which is a brilliant read, is How to Stop Worrying. Again, if you just go type how to stop worrying, Google will complete that for you. How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. The third book, Think and Grow Rich, which is by Napoleon Hill. And the fourth book, which is a little, complicated to read, but one hell of a read, is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Of course, see, this is another thing, for those of you who are here, my biggest challenge is that I have both. When I started off the session, you must have seen this acronym there, which is HEY, right? In fact, HEY is literally what my entire life represents, which is happily enriching you. That is, in fact, coincidentally the YouTube channel that is also the podcast as well, happily enriching you. If you want, you can always go and check out both. But the challenge is that I don't get time to make videos frequently. I don't get time to make those episodes frequently because I am not a content creator. I am just an ordinary guy who is a little more well read than you all are, a little more motivated than you all are, who's trying to motivate all of you. So that is me. On that note, have a beautiful evening. I wish you guys all the very best for your exams. Do great for yourself, do good, and be happy. See you all. Bye bye.